Hey everybody, it's Doug Klutz, and we are getting ready to start a new academic year and a new semester. The summer is almost over. I hope everybody has enjoyed their summer break. And with that said, I have some basic tips for you today that I think will make your job of achieving success in college easier to attain. So I just want to talk about a few basic tips, and these can apply at any time throughout your college career. A lot of people watching this video might just be starting college in your first or second semester. Maybe you took some summer classes for the first time and you're getting ready to start your full first semester in college this fall. Maybe this is your first semester, or maybe this is the midpoint of your college career, even towards the end of the college career. But employing these tips will make your job of achieving success in school a lot easier. Some of these sound pretty basic, but I see it all the time, students not employing these tips, and they struggle as a result. So let's walk through a few basic ones, and I'll start out with the most basic that you think would be common sense, but I see a lot of students struggling with this today, and that's simply attending class lectures. Making sure that you're actively going to class, not every other class or not every third class, but every single class, making sure that you're showing up. You glean so much information from being in class lecture. It could be important instructions on an assignment. It could be important review points on a test. You need to show up for class. Even if attendance is not required in a class, you need to show up for class lecture. It's a good building block. It's a good habit to get into for your professional career one day with a job, because you might not like your job every single day, but if you don't show up for your job, you're probably not going to be keeping that job too long. So put in the time, show up. It's an easy way to start really achieving good results in school. The second tip is very basic as well. But again, I see a lot of students struggling with this today, especially with technology. But being engaged in class lectures, actively engaged in the material, taking everything in, taking good notes. And when I said struggling with this tip with technology, what I meant as far as students being immersed in their phone and in their laptop, headphones in, not engaged in the class material at all. So those two tips go hand in hand as far as making sure you're showing up for class lecture and making sure you're engaged in the material. If you're just showing up for class lecture and you're not engaged in the material, let's say that you're sleeping or you have your headphones in, or you're down in your phone the whole time, or your computer not paying attention to anything that's going in lecture, just being there is not going to help you much. You're not going to be retaining too much information at all. So you need to be actively engaged in the material. And again, this is a building block for later on in your professional career. You're probably not going to love your job every single day. You might not love a project that you're working on at your job one day, but you still have to be engaged in the material. You still have to put forth the effort. And if you're showing up to class every single class period and you're putting forth effort, it's going to make your job of achieving a good grade in that class a lot easier. But again, it's a full commitment there. You can't take 30-minute stretches off from class, checking your phone or playing on your laptop if your professors even allow laptops in the classroom. You have to be engaged and put forth the effort the whole time. So those are two really simple and basic tips. But I guarantee you, if you adhere to those, it will make achieving those good grades a whole lot easier. And when I talk to students, especially towards the end of their college career, and they'll always say, well, I wish I had a higher GPA, or, I wish I would have done better at this point in my schooling. And when they say that, it's usually that first semester, maybe first couple semesters of college, where they weren't going to class, or they weren't engaged in the material, or they weren't putting forth effort, and as a result, they struggle. Because it's going to seem like, especially if this is your first semester in school, you're going to get there and you're going to say, I have a ton of free time. You might only have a class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And you'll say, that's it. I only have to think about this class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I have all these down days in between, but that's not the case. In college, you want to stay on top of your workload. And even if you only have class lecture on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you are going to have a lot of outside the class, probably readings or papers that you have to work on, research, and you have to plan ahead. You have to work ahead. You can't save it all for the last minute. So it's not nearly as much free time as you think it is, because on those days that maybe you're off from class, you still need to be putting forth work and effort into that class. And this really segues into the next tip that I have for you. And this is another basic one, but I see a lot of students struggling with this. Make sure that you're checking out that class syllabus. Make sure you're going over it in a lot of detail at the very beginning of the semester. Take a good 15 to 20 minutes at least to look over it. Highlight all the important points. Due dates, exam dates, a midterm date, final exam date, whatever those important dates are listed in the syllabus. You can find a lot of information, and you need to read that syllabus carefully. One of the biggest pet peeves of professors is asking a question after class, during class, before class, or emailing something that is addressed in the class syllabus. And some professors are not going to be nice about it at all if you ask them something that is clearly discussed in the class syllabus, because the syllabi that professors put together takes a lot of time to get it just right. There've probably been a lot of tweaks over the years as far as things they found that have worked and not worked. And once they have that syllabus well established, the expectation is that you read it carefully, that you take the time, 15 to 20 minutes to read it, because it probably takes well over an hour to put together, especially when you think about having to go through all the different dates and the grading structures and everything like that. So make sure you're taking the time to read that syllabus, and then write the important dates down in a calendar or wherever you store your important dates and reminders. Put that information down and the due dates, and look at it every weekend at least to make sure that you're not falling behind on a due date, to make sure that you're planning ahead, because I see students a lot of times, they just don't take the time to read the syllabus and they end up missing a due date, or they have to cram at the very last minute and throw something together, and then they're going to get a bad grade. So again, at the start of the semester, 15, 20 minutes at least per syllabus, look it over, write down all the important information. Really key, critical tip to achieving academic success. The next tip ties in a little bit with the syllabus as far as plan ahead and don't procrastinate on work. I know a lot of people will say that they work really well under pressure, but if you have a 10-page paper, let's say due, and you're starting on it the night before it's due, you're not going to be able to produce your best quality work. And in college, again, it's going to seem like you have a lot of free time, but it's not nearly as much free time as you think. So make sure that you're planning ahead, you're not procrastinating. And what I would recommend, I think a really helpful and beneficial tip, especially if it's a big assignment due that's worth a large portion of your grade, like a big paper or a midterm exam or a final exam, start at least a month out. Start preparing a little bit at the time so you don't have to cram at the very end. That's going to alleviate a lot of stress. That's going to alleviate a lot of burden off of your shoulders. And it's also going to give you more confidence over that assignment or that information, because you're attacking it a little bit at a time. So for example, if you have a 10-page paper due and you see it at the syllabus at the beginning of the semester because you're carefully reading through that syllabus, and you write that paper's due date down, and it's a month in advance, let's say, my strategy would be to work on 2 to 3 pages of that paper per week over the course of that month. And that way you're doing a little bit at a time. You can check over your work as you go. to make sure, and if it's let's say a research paper, that it's well written, that it's well thought out, and you have the time to really go over it and produce your best quality work. So break it up into little segments. It's not going to seem nearly as overwhelming. It's going to be much more manageable. 2 to 3 pages a week is nothing. But if you do a little bit at a time, that's going to allow you to achieve greater success along the way. You don't want to fall into a common habit. And especially this is when I talk to students, they'll say, yeah, my first year, I just procrastinated on everything. I saved everything to the very last minute. I was so stressed out. I felt so overloaded with work, because what you'll find in college is that you're going to have a lot of stuff due for different classes at the same time. So you might have 2 or 3 exams, maybe even 4 exams all in 1 week, or you might have multiple papers due in 1 week. And if you're saving everything to the very end, it is going to seem overwhelming because you did not use that free time, or what you thought was free time, in a responsible manner. Again, you have to be working along the way. My next tip is a little different from just the pure academic realm. You don't want to be, especially if this is your first or second semester of college, you don't want to be in work mode 24/7, right? College is supposed to be a time where you grow and expand. You meet people. You meet people from all different backgrounds. You are looking to grow not only professionally, but also from a personal standpoint as well. So my suggestion to you, or my tip in this case, is to get involved. Get involved on campus. Get involved in a few different extracurricular activities, like maybe it's joining a club sports team, for example, and also get involved in a couple of clubs directly related to your intended major or minor course of study. Getting involved on campus is a great way to network. I talk about networking a lot as far as meeting new people. You never know who you meet, what kind of doors that's going to open down the road. You want to be networking all the time while you're in college. You'll find you get a lot of opportunities from networking. But you also want to expand from a personal standpoint as well. So make sure you're meeting people, you're getting involved in a few different organizations, and you're enjoying your college experience as well, instead of just being in work mode 24/7. It's very important to take your work seriously, but you also have to have a few different positive outlets along the way as well. And one last tip, and this falls into the positive outlet realm as well. Look to reduce stressors as much as possible. Look to reduce stress. Don't be so stressed out in school. Again, time management is really important with managing your stress levels, but you want to make sure you're attending to your health, physical and mental health, throughout your college experience. And one thing that I would really recommend, and my final tip here, is to at least once a week or so set aside some time where you really limit social media use, where you just turn off the technology, so to speak. Limit your time on the social media sites. Limit maybe it's your media consumption if you're always consuming media. But look to limit that social media use and get outside. Enjoy some fresh air. If your college has some type of what they like to call like green space, outdoor area where a lot of students go to study and enjoy, let's say you have nice weather outside, get outside and enjoy nature. Enjoy the sunshine on nice days. It will help you to alleviate stress, take a few deep breaths while you're out there, and just look to use that as an opportunity to unplug, so to speak, because we see a lot of negativity in the social media realm, a lot of negativity in the media, and it needs unplugging, so to speak, from time to time to really allow yourself to recharge. So if it's nice weather outside, get outside, enjoy some nature, take some deep breaths, put it all into perspective. Don't let the stress and the workload of college, synergize with negativity in the social media realm or the media realm or whatever. And you just kind of get stuck in a mode of negativity. You want to push the negativity aside and remain as positive as possible, because again, your health, both mental and physical, really important to succeeding in college. You don't want to be run down and bombarded by constant negativity. So I hope these tips helped. Again, I see this kind of stuff on a daily basis. I see what works and what doesn't work. So if you employ these basic tips, I think it will enable you to achieve success and to continue achieving success throughout your entire professional careers. So good luck with the start of the semester. I hope that your fall semester gets off to a good start, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.